In commemoration of Easter, Christians mark Good Friday in Jerusalem's Old City, following the path Christians believe Jesus walked while carrying his cross, known as the Via Crucis, before being crucified and entering the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Because of the war, of course. People are afraid. They haven't come, but normally there'd be pilgrims from the whole world that would be here.
Queremos la paz para todos. Nos da mucho pesar lo que están pasando en ambos lados, pero nosotros creemos que nuestro Dios es de paz y amor y que pronto será la paz.
The United Nations top court has ordered Israel to enable the unhindered flow of aid into Gaza in order to avert a famine. Now, in a unanimous decision, the International Court of Justice said Israel has to act without delay to allow the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance. This follows warnings that famine could hit Gaza within weeks. Israel has called allegations that it is blocking aid wholly unfounded. Now, given its response to the court order, the Israeli Foreign Ministry said it is continuing to promote new initiatives and to expand existing ones to allow a continuous flow of aid into Gaza by land, air, and sea, working with the UN and others. Now, to further discuss this, I'm joined by Bolu Michael-Biyi, foreign policy analyst. He joins us live from London. Hello, Bolu. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
Thank you.
All right, so how do you assess the effectiveness of the International Court of Justice's decision in compelling Israel to allow the unhindered flow of aid into Gaza, especially considering the long-standing humanitarian crisis in the region?
Well, I think the ICJ, they've done, this is the best they can do. You know, they've not only brought their situation or happening in northern Gaza or Gaza as a whole, just to Israel, they've kind of informed and brought it to the attention of humanitarian aid providers and also, neighboring countries and interested parties, and they can't go beyond this. They've done their best, and it's good that they've brought all these issues to fore, and we have up to May or before May to ensure that there's no famine in Gaza. They can't do beyond this for now because they can only make such rulings. They do not have the power or authority to enforce them. It's only the UN Security Council that has the authority or power to enforce ICJ rulings.
All right, so but what specific challenges do you foresee in implementing the ICJ's order, and how can the international actors overcome these obstacles to ensure the timely delivery of aid to Gaza?
Most of the time, the challenge they face is logistic issues. Almost 100% of the time, when coordinating, they do face these challenges, So now that they have a timeline to work with, which is May, it's important that they begin to anticipate these challenges based on their previous experiences in providing humanitarian aid. They might face logistic issues, maybe in terms of staffing, in terms of coordinating the humanitarian materials or, let's say, transportation. So they need to take proactive steps early. For example, Egypt allows, humanitarian aid to pass through their country. And if they anticipate some kind of blockade, within that, from that route, they should begin to engage Egyptian officials early. So they should take proactive steps and, list down anticipated challenges and begin to tackle them early.
All right. So now, Bolu, how would you evaluate Israel's response to the allegations of blocking aid to Gaza as wholly unfounded?
Well, it's not expected. It's expected actually that Israel would not admit that they are blocking humanitarian assistance to Gaza, because that would be themselves shooting themselves in the foot, and then they'll be culpable under international law. So since we have two sides of the story, which means that there has to be an independent investigation. He will assess more proof, and to be fair, the burden of proof is not on Israel, it's on those who are affirming or that are asserting that Israel is blocking humanitarian aid. It's something in law we say affirmanti non neganti probis probation, which means that he who has the burden of proof is on him who affirms, not the one who is defending or who is opposing, that is Israel. So it's expected that these two positions are investigated.
All right, still talking about investigation now. Given the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, what role do you see for regional and international stakeholders, especially in ensuring that there's a sustained humanitarian assistance to Gaza beyond the ICJ's ruling?
Well, this every country has the responsibility, of ensuring that the life of his neighbors, and we all owe our fellow human beings some form of love. So stakeholders definitely they can pull up diplomatic efforts, heighten the diplomatic efforts, take multilateral initiatives, and beef up humanitarian response. And I know some countries are doing that already. For example, Rwanda. I remember they sent some form of aid to the Palestinians, and Egypt also allowing aid to pass through their country. So they should just basically just beef up these efforts to ensure that the famine is prevented as much as possible.
All right. But in your view, how has the humanitarian situation in Gaza been exacerbated, by broader geopolitical dynamics in the Middle East? And what implications does this geopolitical dynamics have, in addressing the crisis effectively?
To be honest, I can't. Since I was born, I don't think I can recall a time when the Middle East is not in crisis, and these things just makes everything very complex, because there's always power struggle, some form of geopolitical rivalry, or some security concern. So these things just kind of causes a setback in the humanitarian process. And it's very important in addressing these issues, because these issues don't just exist in isolation. Something led to them. There's a root cause for it. So we need to understand the dynamics of the grievances between these countries, and ensure that they're looking into the root causes and tackling it from them and from there. And this involves dialogue, reconciliation, sitting at the table and actually discussing that these issues, this is a problem, is starting from somewhere. Let us sit down and work things out, basically.
Okay. So now, as a policy analyst and in your expert's opinion, what policy recommendations would you propose to enhance coordination and cooperation among humanitarian organizations, governments, and also non-state actors to address the immediate needs of Gaza while also addressing underlying structural challenges?
Well, I think, to be honest, that non-state actors are kind of overstretched right now, because the situation in Gaza seems to be so bad that even the helpers need help. And when one is flying a plane, for instance, even if one is a nursing mother and we have the child, the mother is carrying the child, they say wear your own life vest first before you even help the child that you're carrying. And I think that's the situation in Gaza right now. So I think the non-state actors are overstretched. They themselves need help. And it's important for the humanitarian organization to strengthen their partnership and not work in isolation, to share information, to work with media organizations and people on ground, to know how to approach their humanitarian assistance. If there's a humanitarian organization that is vast in logistics and they are sound in that area, another one is coordination of the goods. They can come together and let them leverage their strength. Let them leverage their strengths, work together, strengthen their partnership, and just have a common network and see what they can handle to ensure that there's quick and speedy, and proactive step in providing humanitarian aid to Gaza.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bolu Michael-Biyi, for joining me and speaking on this.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.